Welcome to the Straight from the Heart show. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm Utah Marmaraz. I've got a fabulous guest today. Her name is Denise Mortimer, and she's all about finding your fabulous. She's an amazing coach. She's a great friend, and she's great at what she does. And also, she's just full of energy. She's bubbly. She's infectious. And when you're in the same room as her, the room lights up. So, good evening.
Good evening. That is some introduction. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
You're welcome, and it's the truth. It's the absolute truth. Wherever you are, you light up the room. It's the American in you. Must be the Long Island.
It is the Long Islander, I reckon. Yes, it's in the water, drinking water in Long Island.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Now I've mentioned Long Island, so people will need to know all about the Long Island sling.
So I was born in Long Island and I spent my first 20 years of my life in Long Island, but I have been a resident in the UK now for 32 years.
Wow. So
So
you're pretty much English.
I am, and I just got my passport last year as well. I decided I might stay for a while, so.
So let's swap. Let's swap. You can have my British passport, and I'll take your green card. I'll take your American your American passport because I'm planning to move out there myself.
Are you going out there?
Yeah, I'm planning to move out there very soon because all my business is, as you know, it's in the US.
Amazing.
It only makes sense. So how did you get into coaching?
Uttam, I have been a coach for so many years, and it was like 20 years ago. I think it was 1997. So dead on 20 years ago, I studied NLP, and it just completely blew my mind. I just realized that I could think in different ways and that I wasn't a slave to the thinking patterns that I grew up thinking were stuck, that were I didn't think they were changeable. And then suddenly I realized I could change. And I've just always naturally coached people. It's always been in my DNA to talk to people. And then when I studied NLP, I then had something I could hang it on. I had something sort of tangible I could apply to my coaching practice.
Wow. And what's your coaching style then?
Um, I I like to get into the heart of what's going on for people in terms of, I listen to their language. I'm big on language patterns. Have you studied NLP at all,
I have
Uttam?
indeed. Yes, I have.
Yeah, so I love the language patterns. I love listening to how people stop themselves, because that it like ignites in me. I'm like, oh my God, I can hear what they're saying, and I get really curious about it. I had to actually stop myself because I was trying to sort of change the world. Because once you can start picking up on how people limit themselves, it's like you want to say, really? Is that true? Would you like to feel another way about that? But not everybody wants to change. So I'm now working with people who want to change, despite my ability to recognize their limiting speech patterns. So
Exactly. So it's basically you need the permission. You need the permission to coach somebody. When I started, I was the same. My mother-in-law wanted to kick me out of a place, saying keep your work away from the home, blah blah blah. I can understand where she comes from though, because if we're coaching without permission, it's basically we're intruding in people's privacy in a way. If you think about it, it's like
yes.
going to somebody's door without even knocking in and walking in. And I suppose that's where it is. But as coaches, as a coach myself, I know that feeling. I know the frustration. And
Because yes, because you can see it. Well, you hear it, not just see it. You can hear it. But I was on the receiving end of someone coaching me without permission, good few years back, and I recognized it, and I thought, oh no, I really don't like that. So I needed to stop doing that to people, despite wanting to help them. I had to stop coaching without permission.
exactly. And what kind of coaching do you do for relationships? I've noticed that you do relationship. And the reason I'm asking that, because I know you've got a tremendous, beautiful relationship with your husband. And I've seen a few videos where you speak about your husband, and I know the kind of relationship from the conversations we've had.
I think my relationship coaching is not specifically about your intimate, most sort of significant other relationship. It's about your relationships in general. It's about managing with everyone around you. We're relating all the time. So I wonder if I'm misleading with having that on my website. It's about relationships in general rather than with a significant other. However, of course, it will impact significant other. It's, again, for me, the linguistic part is such a powerful thing. It's when people use words like, you never do this, you always do that. It's just breaking down what they're trying to say and allowing them to consider that there is an alternative, and also understanding that in any kind of relationships, we're not just two people relating. We're bringing our whole families with us into the same room,
Hmm.
and we're trying to relate. So it's about understanding another person's complete history and why they're presenting in a particular way, and softening to, if you don't agree, if your values are different, is there a place where you can meet in the middle and come to a compromise? Because any kind of conflict is always about a values conflict, isn't it? Saying that I believe this and you believe something else, and therefore we're on a different page.
Exactly. And the way I like to look at all relationship is to break the word down itself. Relation, the ships of relations. So you're steering the vessel of a ship to wherever you are. So how are you steering that ship of that relation? And
Yeah, good. I like that. Yes.
my mentor taught me that. So one of my mentors, so Javon Langford. I always talk about Javon. He's one of my top mentors. So this is what he talks about, and I've taken that on board, and I think this is one of the greatest way to look at relationships. And one thing I was really intrigued by, and I really wanted to talk to you about, is about your retreats. I really love retreats because I find retreats really powerful, and reading about your retreats in Wales really lit up for me. And I wanted to hear a bit more about your retreats.
Yeah, fantastic. So in September, I did my first retreat. I've got my second one coming up. But the retreat was an opportunity to get into beautiful countryside. So getting busy people, it was all women, getting busy women who there's so much interference in life, getting them into a natural environment, giving them access to Pilates. We did some life coaching sessions there. We went out hiking, we went horseback riding, we went canoeing. We just really communed with nature and escaped. There was very little Wi-Fi signal there. So it was just an opportunity to escape and to just be instead of do. And it was magical, absolutely beautiful experience. Everybody went home with like this joy, even though the journey home was long, and for some it was like there were delays on trains and all sorts, but there was this joy that was like you can't even measure. The lines on the face just eased because there was just so much beauty and so much joy and no Wi-Fi.
Excellent. I love that concept of no Wi-Fi, because I'm planning to go on a 10-day retreat myself, which is a meditation retreat with Vipassana. I don't know if
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and that's up in Herefordshire. So it's 10 days of pure silence, no Wi-Fi. You can't even communicate with people in that retreat. So the only people that you can are the teachers if there's any issues. So you're basically going for that 10 days, and you're just going to be finding your real self, and it will break you, it will mend you, and you will just find everything that you need to find. And this is something that I really wanted to do, and that's why I think your retreats is amazing, because you take away the social media. This is the main thing that a lot of people they don't realize, that social media is taking over a lot of people's lives. And I think that's very important that you've taken people to Wales, and I really take my hat off to you on that. And the next question will be, which is a lot of my clients and a lot of people in our industry seems to have self-confidence issues. How would you help somebody with self-confidence issues briefly?
I think it's really understanding where that came from, because our beliefs, our core beliefs, come from our early years, our surroundings. We pick up from the people around us all our influences, and they shape our beliefs, and we don't even recognize them as beliefs. We think it's the truth. We think it is the only truth in the world. So getting them to, if they're struggling with confidence and they come to me for help, it's about understanding where that where the limitation is coming in, and breaking that down and giving them permission to recognize that they can think in another way, that their brain literally has the capacity to build new pathways. So if they can master thinking badly about themselves, they've done a great job. They can master thinking well of themselves. It just takes practice, practice, practice.
Guys, practice, 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 and hit Denise up. And I'm going to vouch for this lady. She's amazing. She's great at what she does. And another thing that I admire about Denise is the stamina, her love for fitness. And many women half your age hasn't even got that drive. How do you keep going, Denise?
Tom, I think it's in my DNA. I think you are. I think you're cut from the fitness cloth, or you're not. I don't know. Maybe that's a limiting belief I've got about other people. Are you a fitness
I am.
enthusiast?
I am.
Do you think it's in your DNA, or do you think you can learn?
It's hard to learn. My fitness has been up and down, up and down, up and down, because I suffered addiction in my life. I was addicted to marijuana for a long while, and then I was addicted to tobacco. So that plays a fundamental part on your fitness.
Mm.
Then I developed the mindset. So I had the mindset and the heart to go back into my fitness. So from my 20s, I used to be, well, start from my teens, I was really fit. Then in my 20s, I was really fit. And then when I got married, I went downhill, put on the weight and got comfortable and that kind of thing. And then now I'm on a level, because I'm going to be 40 in 2 months. And my goal is to be fitter than I was in my 20s.
Fantastic.
So now I'm so determined. But it's rubbing off on my daughter, who's 3 years old, and she's seeing it. It's what you see, and you start becoming.
Yes.
So my dad never used to do anything at all. My dad was a taxi driver,
Yeah.
so that didn't rub off on me. So I don't know. I don't think it's a DNA thing, to be honest. It depends on the individual. How bad do you want? If you want the beach body, you want the strength, you want the stamina, you want to look good, you have to work on it. And it's the same thing with your mindset. It's a muscle that you have to work with. People think to develop a new habits overnight, but it's not overnight. It's work that you have to do consistently. And so that's my views on the fitness thing. But I really admire you for it, because you're just full of beans. And you bring that in your coaching. I know you do. You bring
It's
all.
do you know that's just it's part of I'm at 52 years old now. I feel super fit and healthy, and I hadn't when I was 30, I wasn't doing this to feel this good at 52. I was doing it because I love doing it. It's always been a part of what I do. But now I'm like, wow, I'm so glad that it's been a part of who I am, because it's put me in such good standing in terms of my health, my energy levels. And I think you are doing a great job role modeling for your daughter at 3 years old. If you didn't see that yourself, and now you're being a fantastic role model for her, that's amazing. So I take my hat off to you.
Thank you. I have to do it, because she wants to do everything that I do now. She wants to be a podcaster. She wants to be a speaker. She sits on this. She stands on this little platform and she talks. She just talks about general things. How she loves her mum, her dad, her brother, And it's just her being a 3-year-old. And I'm so glad because I'm learning more now, Denise, than I've ever learned about human behavior from a 3-year-old, and how these paradigms are shaping up in her tiny little brain. And I'm doing my 150% to make sure that my daughter don't get those limiting beliefs that I've had in my life, that unfortunately my parents didn't know what I know, what I've studied, and the way I've changed my life. And it's just as well being around great people, being like around people like you. When we were last time I spent time with you, we were at a workshop together, and that was just awesome. So, what other techniques do you use in your coaching?
I'm a big fan of using humor to get people to recognize what's going on for them. So I use a lot of positive psychology. I studied positive psychology, so I've got lots of sort of tricks up my sleeve in terms of practical things people can put in place to increase their level of happiness. But I'm a huge fan of using humor to make a point. People learn more when they are having a great time, when they're laughing. They're more open to an experience. They can recognize themselves more. And also, metaphors are so powerful. I love using metaphors when I'm working with clients, because if they don't want to recognize themselves in a situation, it's so much easier for them to recognize themselves in a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
You work with metaphors with what you're doing much?
I don't really work with metaphors because I think our coaching is a bit different. The way you coach and the way I coach, I don't really go back into the past too
Yeah.
much. I think that's coming from your psychology background, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I work strictly as a coach. As you know, a therapist goes into your past. A coach looks at your future. So this is what I do: is just finding that way. Forget what's happened before. We're working on a
Mm.
new level. This is the new mindset. This is the new habits that you have to develop to get you from where you want. So I use powerful questions. And so I'm more, if you look at it, I'm more of a Rich Litvin kind of coach, or
Yeah.
Steve Hardison kind of coaching, because that's the lineage that I've looked at before I became a coach. So I'm
Mm.
more on that level. But I'm really fascinated by your humor, and I think that comes from you being a stand-up comedian at one point in your life as well,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
be honest, because you have to have that in you. And when you use metaphors and using the comedy side of it, I like to make people go into vulnerability. When I find people become their best when you're vulnerable, and again, that comes from my mentors,
Mm.
and it's the many mentors that I've had throughout the years that I've been on my journey. So that's my views on it. But I'm really, well, I will be talking to you offline off this podcast very soon anyway, because I like the way you're doing your things. And through all the people that I've spoken to Jarrett Robbins, I've spoken to Javon Langford, Noah, and I haven't even, not one of the coaches has ever talked about going in the past at all.
See, I like to, because I think they need to come to terms with certain things. So it's not about dwelling there. Don't
Mm-hmm.
get me wrong. It's not about dwelling there. It's about saying, let's deal with that. Let's take what happened. Let's recognize it for what it was, and let's build something new from that. It's all about where we are now, and closing, like putting up a road closed sign for those old pathways so that we can establish some new ones. So
Excellent.
don't get me wrong. I don't like dwelling in the past. That's not part of what I do. I'm personally, I'm not a fan at all of. I appreciate there is a place for psychoanalysis, but I'm not a huge fan of it myself. I feel like you had a bad childhood and then you spend the rest of your adulthood reliving it. No, thank you. I'm not a fan of that. But I do believe if someone's got a limiting belief, we look at where did it come from? Is it true? What's the evidence? Let's put something else in place, because it's getting people to recognize they've made that up and they can make something else up now.
It's all about changing the story. They've made up that,
Exactly. Yes.
they've lived that story for so long that
Yes.
well, I'm just going to be blunt, they've lived that BS all their
Yeah.
life. They can make that story so nice, and you've got that ability. You know, I love that ability you got, that warmth that you've got within you, and you've got that mothering nature as well, which I like as a coach. And from not many coaches have that, to be honest. Of coaches that I know, we come across as that bang 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 and no BS. But you've got that nurturing side of a coach, which is really appealing. And do you ever get that kind of feedback from your clients?
Yeah, I like to. I'm great at building rapport with people. So people people tend to warm to me really quickly and really easily. And I think you're right. I do have this sort of nurturing side to me. And interestingly enough, like many of my clients are women in my age group, but then I get a lot of I get a lot of young men who maybe they need that nurturing. So it surprises me because I'm thinking this is not the client group I think is my client group. However, they're still coming to me for coaching. So maybe they're looking for that sort of like, motherly guidance or something.
It's the experience that comes with it, to be honest with you, because what I found, a lot of the people, because I look young as well, a lot of people think I'm in my 20s or what have you, and they think when they hear my age, like, oh wow, we'd like to work with you. And I
Yeah.
said, what's the reason? Oh, you've got so much experience in life. And a lot of people tend to look at that, the experience that you have in life, because people see coaching as life coaching. And
Yes.
it
Yeah.
is life coaching. For me, a lot of people like to micro niche it and have their little niches. At the end of the day, if you're not coaching in business, you're not coaching in marketing, you're coaching people in general, that's life coaching. And
Yeah.
it will always be life coaching.
Yes.
And that's in life coaching, you need the experience. So what kind of services do you offer currently?
Well, I'm doing a lot of speaking at the moment, and I'm really enjoying addressing various audiences. Actually, I'm going to New York next week, and I'm speaking at my old high school, which I'm really excited about, getting to shape the minds of the senior class there. But my current offer at the moment is I've got an online course and I'm on the second cohort of that. So that's been really fun. And been a big learning curve. So it's partially online and it's partially interactive with me as well. And that's kind of the entry way people work with me. And then I've got my bigger coaching program. So I've got my entry, which is more affordable. And then I've got my one-to-ones, which it's much more intensive. So those are my key ways, and I've got a book underway as well.
Wow.
Wow! I'll tell you a story. Can I tell you a quick story?
Go for it. This is all about you, my love.
So I got this. I wrote a book over Christmas because I don't really do that much over Christmas. So I wrote this book over Christmas, and then I didn't quite finish it. And then I got an email from this man who runs this company. Do you know what a book packager is?
No, I
So
don't.
this is cool. This is an industry insider thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a book packager is someone who decides they want to write a book and then they look for an author.
Mm-hmm.
So I was approached by this book packager. He said, I saw your website, I saw your talks, and I would like you to write a book called The Most Fabulous You.
Wow.
So he's found me and wants me to write the book. And so this book packager, what he does is he will mock up the book. I'm going to put together a synopsis of what we're going to write about. And he's going to then take it to book fairs all over the world. So that's his job, to go to book fairs and to pre-sell my book.
Wow.
He may or he may not sell it. He said he gets about a 60% uptake. And this is the other thing. He said, they're a small book. They've been in business for like 30 something years, and they're a small book packager compared to others. So a book packager might approach someone like Jamie Oliver and say, will you do a book for us? So really big names. And because they're smaller, he's looking for up and coming people. So he's approached me. So I'm like, wow, this is really great timing.
Oh,
So yeah, so I'm working with this book packager at the moment to see if we've got a deal, but it looks very promising.
awesome. I'm so happy for you. You deserve it. And now that you spoke about that, we don't have much time left, but I'm going to switch off this interview now because I'd never pre-plan my interviews. I'll go with the energy of the show. What is your take on law of attraction then?
I think you can have whatever you want as long as you put the effort in.
Boom. Love it. You can have whatever you want as long as you put the effort in, and that is
Yeah,
so damn true.
you can't sit back and wait for it to come to you. You've got to set the wheels in motion. So ask for what you want, and it's amazing how things come to you. They don't come in the way that you expect them to come, but they come anyway.
Exactly. And the reason I went on to that topic just now briefly is the way the man came to you. You attracted that man through the work that you've been doing. You didn't ask, believe, and just received because you put the action in it. This is where people go wrong. And I'll always touch up on this because when I learned about the secret, I did the ask, believe, and receive about the work. And nothing arrived. I had the vision board with the Lamborghini, the big house, the seven
Yeah.
figures, and nothing was happening until you put your action into place. So we're coming to a close now. We've got 2 minutes left on this podcast. What wise words can you give to our audience?
You can create your own rules. If there is some level of discontent in your life, I would suspect you might be living by rules that you did not put in place for yourself. You can make the rules for yourself. Break the rules, don't break the law. Create your own rule book. Live on your own terms. Live true to yourself, as long as you're not a psychopath.
Love it, love it. Live by your own rules. Break the rules, but don't break the law. That's Denise Mortimer, guys. How do people get in touch with you, Denise?
People can find me on social media. They can find me, Denise Mortimer, on Facebook. They can check me out at denisemortimer.com on my website, or they can email me at fabulous@denisemortimer.com.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. You've been a wonderful guest today, and thank you for blessing my show. And
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend.
thank you. And we've tried a few times, guys, to get Denise on this show, and it's finally happened. And I'm so, so grateful. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night. You're welcome. This is the Straight from the Heart show. I'm signing off now. And as always, I'll say this: live well with one another, because if we don't, what's the point? Have a great evening, have a great morning, have a great afternoon, wherever you are in the world. We love you. Bye-bye for now.